Hello, this is Christy Carter, and I have the privilege of introducing to you Jonathon Pereira. He is the Executive Director of Plant Chicago. And what they do, I'm going to read you what their mission says. Our mission is to cultivate local circular economies. We envision a future where the shift in production, consumption, and waste is driven at the local level, generating equity and economic opportunity for all residents. That is very, very cool. I like that. That's really a strong message. We equip people and businesses with the tools to live more sustainably through community-driven, hands-on programs and innovative research projects. So Jonathon, tell us exactly what you do.
So we have three main programmatic areas. One of them, I think the most straightforward that people get is education. We do a lot of education around circular economy thinking. So just starting with the idea of a circular economy, it really is a proposed solution to the problem that faces us on Earth. We're living in a world of finite resources, yet we're operating as if there are infinite resources to consume and extract out of the Earth. We can, even if you divorce climate change from that equation, right, there's which we shouldn't, but if you did, you can make the very clear argument that we have a finite amount of resources to use. So we have to shift towards an economy that's not based on infinite extraction from the Earth.
Right.
Yeah, so and our take on that really is that a lot of that is already happening at the local level. So in terms of focusing on the power of small businesses to engage in this and ways you can divert materials, not just divert materials from the landfill, but source materials upstream that are not virgin materials as well. And an important component of a circular economy really is thinking about how do you continue to grow an economy, but without the infinite extraction. So there's, it really is, it's going past the paradigm of just GDP, right? But what most economists and politicians focus on is just the rate of growth, and not thinking about what that growth is doing to our environment or the other implications of it as well.
Right.
So our programmatic areas really are education. We do lots of workshops, either for the general public, panel discussions, school groups. They come in and do hands-on workshops with us. Another thing that we do is specific work with small businesses. So we're piloting a circular economy network for small businesses. We have about 15 businesses that are a part of it right now. And really the conceit there is that small businesses, many of them want or are already participating in circular economy practices, but lack the ability to measure that or skills at marketing it as well. So we're going to be working with each of the businesses to do that, to measure what they're doing, set goals for improving their performance, and then also helping them market that as well. So we'll be providing direct-to-consumer opportunities, ways for them to increase their revenue through workshops and sharing their knowledge.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So but it's Plants Chicago, so you're really kind of looking at, you're growing your own plants and crops and things like that, right? I mean, that's the whole, that's the whole thing.
To a new location, an old firehouse in the southwest side of Chicago, and we're repurposing it, the first floor at least, to be a shared communal growing space for an indoor garden. So you think of it as an indoor victory garden project where individuals or small organizations might be able to adopt a corner of it and grow for themselves. So it would not be a single-use farm. And historically, we focused on indoor growing of plants and of fungi as well. So we will have an indoor mycology lab as well. So we've had this aspect of people doing shared growing and shared learning together and collectively sharing their knowledge and resources.
That is very cool. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a horticulturist by schooling, education. And so I've been in the landscape industry like half my life, and I love it. So I can totally relate to what you're doing a little bit more.
Great.
Cool. Yeah. So I think you kind of answered this, but why was this nonprofit started? And actually, when was it started?
So it was founded actually back in 2011. We were founded really as to be a support structure for the project known as the plant. So where we were, just 4 blocks from here, we were in a former pork processing facility, and our founder was the owner of the building. And in the early years, really, the Plant Chicago focused on establishing indoor farms. Was really a pioneer in Chicago, at least, for establishing aquaponics as a viable structure for growing, at least, or legalizing it in Chicago. Establishing indoor and outdoor growing spaces there, and doing this sort of prototype for what we're doing now in terms of like bringing many people in to share knowledge and resources as well. We were heavily involved in marketing that project. We did tours and workshops for over 60,000 people over the course of that time. And that's directly, and that's not including things that we did outside of the facility as well. And so now that project is completely a community of for-profit businesses. So we were very much in the early years a support structure for the project for the community of small businesses there. And really now the owner has taken on more ownership over doing tours and being the front-facing component of that project and taking much more of a leadership role.
Oh, it sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, you're really engaged with, plants and people and bringing everything together and growing, the circular economy with businesses that you connect to.
Yeah.
It sounds awesome. It sounds really, really, really successful too. And it's fun. You got to have fun.
We do have a lot of fun. We're used to working in pretty crazy environments. So right now again, this firehouse, it's hard to see, but we have a whole second floor that is, I'm actually in the old captain's room right now.
Wow.
And so there's spots where there were former fire poles. We're reinstalling at least one of them on the first floor to have plants growing up it as well. So
yeah, I was thinking like vines could be going up it or something like that.
Yeah. The old brass pole was stripped a while back. The value of brass.
Wow. That is cool. That's neat that you're in a firehouse and you're growing plants. I love it. That's so cool. So what impact have you made in your community in the last 6 months?
So we moved in November, so we're still in the process of reestablishing what we're doing. But I'd say where we are located in Chicago, it's called the Back of the Yards neighborhood. So there's really the main ways that we interface and interact with them. All of our education programs for schools are free for the schools in our neighborhood. So we make sure to partner with up to 5 schools, or at least 5 teachers from the schools to be able to offer workshops for free. School groups can come over here and do a variety of things in terms of like an aquaponic design challenge where they learn about aquaponics and learn sort of what are the components of the system, and then they're given a group of materials, and then as a small group they have to figure out how to put it all together to make it work.
Wow. Oh,
and
that's
the group
great.
has the same set of materials as well, so that you can't like cheat off your neighbors. Similarly, we'll do like water chemistry and things like that. So programs that fit into what the schools are already doing and complement it, but are not things that they could do in their classroom necessarily. Especially having access to a farm, an indoor farm in January, February is pretty unique.
That's huge because I mean, don't you have snow now in Chicago?
We should. There's like some nasty gray stuff outside that's kind of like icky and things like that. We've had the winters in Chicago they're getting delayed as well, and then we're going through cycles of like intense cold.
Okay.
And then it will warm up past freezing as well. So we haven't, the last few winters, the growing season actually has been extended, and the cold season has actually lasted a little bit longer, but not been as cold, with the exception of like several times we'll get a polar vortex and it will be like 20 below zero for 3 days, and then it pops back up. So we're getting that kind of crazy weather down here. The other way that we interface heavily with the neighborhood is that we do run a year-round market and prioritize vendors from the southwest side. So we've had a really good history of getting income out to local vendors, especially attracting, anywhere from 350 to 600 people to a market to come spend money And our new location, we're actually quite excited because I think we'll have the ability to interface more. We accept link cards, which in Illinois is the SNAP benefits, and then it can double the value on produce for that too. So up to $50, they can get $50 worth of produce for $25.
Wow, that's really cool.
Those are the main areas, and then as we actually build our farm here as well, we're looking for different ways that in the neighborhood too, can we bring on interns and things, youth interns from the neighborhood to help maintain the farm as well.
Wow.
So bring paid opportunities for folks. That's something that we're looking at.
That's great vision. I love it. That I could see your whole operation just mushrooming. No pun intended, because that's what you're growing, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a wonderful thing.
More like mycelial branches.
Yeah, there you go.
The
I like it.
Fruiting body, so it's just
that is super cool. And another thing that popped into my head when we're talking about kids, you're educating them about growing plants and produce for their kitchens. I mean, so that's bringing families together, so they're cooking together healthy, fresh things. I was wondering, maybe in the future you're going to do like cooking classes or something like that.
We actually have in the past. So we have been doing cooking and nutrition classes with several community organizations in the neighborhood. A lot of it are female heads of households that want to learn different methods of cooking nutritionally and on a budget as well. And many of them are actually the inspiration for thinking about our indoor growing spaces, because they have expressed wanting to learn how to grow indoors as well. So if we can actually set up a space for someone to utilize it for 3 to 6 months and grow produce for themselves, it allows people to kind of experiment before they actually try and build something at home. Many individuals will say, I want to do this, but I also don't want to spend the money to do it right away. You can do it relatively cheap, but then it takes up space and it's this time investment. You want to know whether you can do it. So the produce that's grown in the farm, we'll have the option to sell it in the future retail shop in our space, either take it home or potentially donate it to one of the several food banks in the neighborhood.
That's very, very cool. What about local chefs? Are they interested in getting involved in your program as well?
We haven't. There are other existing programs that do much more hands-on work with chefs in terms of like having chefs come in and do nutrition education. That's not necessarily what we're focused on. The way we have partnered with chefs are through very targeted educational events.
Okay.
So we do a series of dinners or lunches called Eating for 8 Billion, which is really based on the premise that we're gonna, in the next 5 years, probably top 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
And instead of thinking towards 10 billion in 2050, where you start talking about the carrying capacity of the earth, we need to talk about like how do we shift our eating, how our dietary habits can have an impact now. So the dinners that we've done will typically feature a chef that wants to highlight some aspect of the food system that they think is worth discussing. So part of that's been a dialogue. One chef last year we did it was a completely vegan meal where the protein source originally was going to be a mycelial based protein. We coupled that with a chef and then people who are growing a mycelial based protein to have a discussion before the meal about the process, why they do what they do. And it allows you, when you bring people together during the meal, to have a conversation around the meal that you're having, and obviously very delicious. The second chef really actually we approached him about doing a meal with some of the new processed meat products, and he rejected that and said, I don't ever want to use those. I would rather do a meal using the low cut sides of either beef or pork to have a conversation around sort of culinary, imperialism, where we talk about food imperialism, where oftentimes since food is so intimate and so personal, that we come into every conversation around food with very, very strong feelings about what we should and should not be eating. And sometimes that can, when you're talking to someone from a very different background, you're making judgments on them based on what they eat. So he wanted to prepare a meal as a Korean immigrant that was using so-called low cuts of meat, the beef or pork that many people in the world might say like, oh, well, you shouldn't be eating meat at all, but it's a protein source for people around the world. We made a delicious meal around that. And then we had a vegetarian track as well. So
that's cool.
We had a chef and a grower, and the grower actually who was doing microgreens, he made his own vegetarian track. And we had a great discussion about it around veganism and vegetarianism and sort of cultural bias before the meal. So it was great. It was one of the few meals where you had vegans and devout carnivores sitting down together.
That is awesome. That's like opposite, polarities or whatever.
Yeah. It was great.
Get together and talk about it, in a nice, rational way. Hey, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
My husband last year, he went out and he went pig shooting, right? And we still have pork in our refrigerator, and it's organic and it's really, really good. So I think there's an argument for, kind of harvesting your own meat as well. But one thing I wanted to ask you was about the mushrooms or the mycelia meal, and we're talking about protein. So does mushrooms actually have protein?
So the product that the company that was investigating this wasn't actually using the mushrooms as the protein source. It was using mycelia. So it was actually the fungus itself.
Okay.
And there are products out there right now that are, all the processed plant protein as well. So it's like it's creating a new product, growing it, so to speak, in lab environments as well. So there's a great conversation to be had there.
Yes. Yes.
Around sort of around health. There's health of people and there's health of the planet. Right. And sometimes those two things don't necessarily align. You can still you can create a product that's less damaging to the earth.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's good for you.
Yeah.
So they were in the early stages as well of doing that, but the protein was coming from the mycelia, not the mushroom itself. Although mushroom is a great substitute in many meals for a sort of meat-like texture.
All right. Hey, this is I'm getting educated right now. This is awesome. Thank you. And I should know that, but I need reiteration or what have you.
There's great vitamins in mushrooms as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So, Jonathon, what positive news do you want to share with our audience today?
I think I'd say just reminding people about the power of small businesses. Yeah. So I do think there is a general movement and ethos in the zeitgeist of our time is reactionary towards these sort of behemoth businesses and trying to always buy from them. But thinking about how your local businesses can be agents for impact. Oftentimes when you walk into them, you are talking to the owner or a decision maker. So you can have a conversation with them. And I think just how many times, if you actually engage them, will have really quickly an idea of what they're thinking about. They might also be much more receptive to your suggestions as well, right? You walk into the local small market and say, hey, I've been really wanting this product. They get to know you. They're going to look for that product, right?
Right.
So I think that the power of small businesses and for an individual to have an impact on that business is great. And so I encourage people to lean into those relationships. You don't have to walk into it and be like, hey, I see you're using straws. I'm never going to buy here again, right? Would you mind not serving me a straw next time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the soft sell is a little bit better.
Yeah. So supporting our local farmers, going to the farmers markets on the weekends or what have you. Those type of things is really good
to buying from the small businesses, but also having a conversation with them as well. What is it your value? Don't just assume because it's a small business they share your values as well.
True.
But you can see what they're stocking their shelves. You can have a conversation with them. Farmers as well. Hey, what practices are you using? Are you hey, who are you hiring from? These kinds of questions, you get to know people as well. and really quickly get a sense of like, this is a business like I really want to support and have a conversation with. Some of the best relationships you have are the people you've been buying from for 10 years.
It's true.
Right?
It's true. Yeah, absolutely. I know my grocer, I know my butcher, I know them, personally, and it's kind of neat, about their family. You get to know people at a deeper level, and there's more substance there, when you're eating it. It just feels better.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're kind of circling back to, I hate to say it, but like the pioneer days, where you're actually having a relationship with the person who's growing your vegetables or your fruits, or harvesting the meat, or if
that's a major problem. I think too often people focus on sort of local food as being a solution for climate change, and it's actually just it's the relationship with your food and the people who grow your food. We're not going to grow all our food in cities. We have to have a relationship, somehow cultivate a relationship again with people that are growing food outside of our cities. And recognize that that's where our grains are going to come from for a very long time.
It's true.
We're not growing our wheat in cities anytime soon.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Well, Jonathon, thank you so much for this interview. I've learned a whole lot. I know our audience at Global Positive have learned a whole lot as well. And I want to urge our audience to go to your website. Your website is plantchicago.org, and take a look around. You can volunteer, you can donate, you can become a member, right?
Yes. If people wanted to sign up as recurring donors every month, we'll actually start inviting people to sort of special member events as well. So you can, if you're a monthly donor, we'll be inviting you to special events.
Awesome. I might have to take you up on that, because I've not been to Chicago and I want to go. There's so many neat things to see and to eat. And, but I'd like to see your operation actually.
Yeah, we would love it. We'll be hosting the Midwest Urban Farmer Summit next month. So that's our first big event here.
Very cool.
Starting programming next month as well. So
that's exciting. Well, I wish you all the best of luck and success with what you're doing. And again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It's been a pleasure to interview and learn more about what you're doing. So Thanks, Jonathon.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great rest of the week.
All right.
Talk to you later. Okay. Bye-bye.